Hey guys, Sandra here from Carcraft Auto Detailing in Melbourne. Today's video is one I've been holding off on doing until I got some real hours behind this product to try and provide some better insights on it, which is CarPro's ClearCut. Now this has easily been the most popular product I've been getting messages and comments on over the last month, so hopefully I can try and answer some of those questions with this video. I've actually had a really good play around with it on a variety of paints and defects, using it with quite a few different pads and machines since I got my hand on a couple of bottles just over a month ago. And without giving away too much at this early stage of the review, it's safe to say that this product will have a place in my lineup of compounds. Now first up, it's important to understand that this isn't your typical compromise compound that tries to produce the perfect balance of cut, finish and flexibility, even though it's really not that far off. But more so, you'll find that there's a real focus on cut and paint leveling ability that is without a doubt the true focus of this compound. So in other words, it's not so much trying to be a one-step compound or offer too many options on how it can be adapted to your personal style or preference of working. It really is a more narrowly focused product in the sense that it has a primary objective of being a heavy cutting compound. And to achieve the best results with it, you need to adapt to this compound's preference rather than adapting this compound to work for your preferences or working style. Now don't get me wrong, as it's actually quite a user-friendly product, and its finish is also quite good if you consider how impressive its cutting ability really is. That is, if you do use it accordingly and to its strengths. And if I compare it to some of the heaviest cutting compounds I've used in the past, which have been your more body shop compounds, it's really leaps and bounds ahead of them in respect to being just as capable, if not more in its cut, but so much more pleasant, clean and quick to work with. There's been such a focus lately on compounds that can do it all, from cutting to finishing, long short work cycles and low to no dusting with easy wipe-offs. And for one, I'm so happy with how many of these compounds I'm using today are just so impressive in that respect. But the truth is that a compromise, however large or small, has to be made with all these compounds in order to equip them with such diversity and adaptability. It was actually earlier this year that I had a conversation with another detailer expressing the need for a heavier cutting compound that can tackle the new ceramic clears that are starting to come my way more and more often. If any of you guys out there have worked on and corrected this paint that's mostly found on some of the brand new German cars, you'll know just how rock hard it is and how it almost doesn't want to be corrected and just fights you every step of the way. ClearCut has come at the right time to address this issue, as car paints are ever changing and the products we use to correct that paint need to change as well. So to try and display some of the success I've had with ClearCut and talk through some of its characteristics, I'm going to use this test panel, which is a harder paint but not a crazy hard ceramic clear, with some various grits of sanding marks, to give you an idea of its cutting capabilities and finish qualities, as well as talk through what I've experienced with it over the last month. Firstly, I want to discuss why you do need to change up your method a little in order to get the best performance out of this compound, which really comes down to the abrasive technology found in ClearCut. Now if you're like me and always like to feel a new compound or polish between your fingers, you would have noticed that most of them today feel silky smooth, unlike the compounds of past years that were super gritty. ClearCut's the first compound I've felt in quite a while that you can still feel that grit, though it's nothing as extreme as the compounds I was using years ago. This product uses DAT, or diminishing abrasive technology, which I've discussed in past videos, that are basically larger abrasives that diminish into smaller abrasive grits as you work and machine polish them, which has been around for a while. But what's new or different about those DAT abrasives in ClearCut is their larger primary state or size, as well as their rapidly diminishing structure or characteristics. So the way this translates into getting the most out of this product is to work a 2 by 2 foot area or smaller, ensure the compound is spread onto your panel before you start your machine, or at least spread it on a very low speed, use little to no pressure for your first set or two of passes on a medium orbital or slower rotary speed, and then begin to increase both your pressure and machine speed for your last set or two of passes. To break this down into what is actually happening and why this method works best, it again comes down to the specific DAT abrasives that Clearcut uses and how they diminish. Your first couple of set passes is where you will get the vast majority of its cutting ability. But because these initially larger abrasives do break down quite rapidly in comparison to most other DAT abrasives, you need to prolong and extend their diminishing structures by using very little pressure and slower machine rotation speeds, which will equate to more cut. However, once those abrasives have broken down to their smaller grit size, you need to then up your pressure and machine speed for the last set or two of passes in order to refine the dulled finish and the cut that those abrasives in their larger state created. And trying to work larger areas or do more than 3 or 4 sets of passes will both greatly reduce Clearcut's performance and lead to dusting and a harder wipe off. On a side note, I do wish CarPro would stop labelling their compounds as zero dusting, which in my experience is a little optimistic in real world conditions. Though I would absolutely agree with a low dusting label, especially considering how much other compounds dust that don't cut anywhere near as well. But that aside, I really hope this explains why it's important to approach this compound a little differently. And for those of you who have seen my review on Polish Angel's Master Compound, I'll just add that the DAT abrasives and the working method are almost opposite to Clearcut, that is, if you do want to get the most out of it. I want to also reinstate that there are other compounds that cut just as well as Clearcut, but the real reason I've moved away from many of them is their user friendliness. I quite honestly just got sick of dealing with the multitude of dust and near impossible wipe-offs that sometimes required me to wash cars multiple times in order to remove the compound residue safely. And what's more, the finish would sometimes require an extra stage of refinement, which really ended up taking more time, even though the cut was great. I know there's always a compromise to be made, and many detailers will just deal with those issues if they're getting the cut they want out of a compound. But I've said it many times that the times and technology is always changing, so it's really your choice if you want to continue with what you know and are comfortable with, or if you want to explore a potentially better option. So let's talk a little about Clearcut with various paint types, defects and pads. This is without a doubt a compound that has been engineered to tackle your more severe defects on your harder paint types. And I can also tell you that on microfiber, or even more so wool pads, you can certainly achieve a mild reduction of orange peel without sanding beforehand. And on the extremely hard ceramic paints, I was really impressed on how well it could finish down with a little tuning and pad selection. Now overall, if you're looking for that perfect clarity and finish, I can tell you that it is possible to achieve that in one step as long as the paint is hard and as long as your pad choice is right and you take the time to become familiar with Clearcut and its slightly diverse method of working. But on medium to softer paint types, there's no real way of getting around for the need of a follow-up set with a less aggressive compound and pad. But if you really take the time to get your technique down pat, you can potentially follow up with just a very light polish and pad to quickly achieve an amazing finish. So on your more medium hard paints, you'll definitely notice how quickly this product can level out defects and potentially save you a lot of time. But where I've been using it more so with a wool on my rotary for harder and badly damaged paint, I found better results with either microfiber and foam coating pads on less hard paints, which actually still provided ample cut but finished down noticeably better. I'll also add that your pad selection will also greatly determine how quickly or slow Clearcut diminishes, as I found that with wool and microfiber pads, I was getting better results working shorter times, whereas with foam in general, an extra set of passes was giving me a better finish. Now softer paints is where I found Clearcut to be perhaps a little too aggressive. I'll add that I was able to test it on some older single stage acrylic paint as well, which quite honestly it did not like at all, causing some serious marring and haze that took a bit of time to rectify. But on softer Japanese clears it wasn't all that bad, but still not the best option I found at the time. Now there may be certain instances where you have badly muted softer paint, which it might be a great option to quickly level out those defects whilst reducing heat the softer clears don't respond well to. but overall in most circumstances so far, I found less aggressive compounds to be a better option on those softer paints. So while I've been babbling on, I hope you can see the quite impressive results that Clearcut has been able to achieve on these quite extreme sanding marks, which many of you may know is a tall order for any one compound to achieve. And although I don't generally recommend trying to compound sanding marks as severe as 800 or 1200 grit, I just wanted to show that it is quite possible with this compound, even though those coarser sanding marks should really be refined further. And as you could hopefully also see, just a light follow-up pass with a finishing polishing pad was able to easily remove the compounding haze and holograms that the wool pad and rotary left behind. But even more so impressive in my mind is the fact that with both microfiber and foam cutting pads on a dual action polisher, I was able to both remove 1500 to 2000 grit sanding marks and also finish down near flawlessly on this harder paint. So to sum up this review, Clearcut is clearly an aggressive compound, but still manages to be quite a civilized and user-friendly product, as long as you're willing to use it in the fashion and method it was meant for. And it really is a massively technique-based product that will determine its success or failure in your hands. But don't let that put you off, as it's not a huge learning curve, just a slight adaptation of your method when working with it. Now, I have been getting a lot of questions lately about many of the past compounds I've reviewed on this channel, and how they stack up and compare to one another, so I am planning on doing a video soon that places these compounds in a more head-to-head comparison. As always, I really do hope this video was helpful to some of you guys out there. Please like, comment and subscribe to show your support for this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.